YouTube, how y'all doing, man? It is Kibir and I am back with a new video. So today is going to be the unearned power-ups of Dragon Ball. So this is what we're going to be checking out. Shout out Carthy for the video, but let's get to it, man.
The longer Dragon Ball goes on, the more people throw around a specific phrase, unearned power-up. Whether it be a transformation, a new technique, or even just...
And by the way, just a side note, I know the video just started, but dude, personally, bro, I don't like the Super Saiyan 3 design all that much. Personally speaking, I just don't like it, bro. It's just, it's weird, bro.
Just a character getting stronger in a disagreeable way, you'll always hear about unearned power-ups. So let's go over every power-up that's supposedly unearned in the series and see if it actually is. Original Dragon Ball is where we'll start, but honestly, there aren't many cases of a character...
I think OG Dragon Ball handled like power-ups and just training a lot better than Z did, you know? I think the way the Z went is just Goku, the protagonist, powers up like crazy, and then people just follow suit in the next arc. But yeah,
they're powering up in a way that isn't training related. I think the first one you could look at is Goku fighting against Jiren. No, not Jiren.
Jiren.
Jiren, Goku's opponent in the 21st Tenkaichi Budokai. Jiren uses his merry-go-round gum technique to entirely immobilize Goku, and seemingly he can't escape. That is, until his tail conveniently grows back, and even more convenient, this...
Yeah, so was that a convenient power-up, or was that just a Saiyan ability? And the thing is, bro, we don't really see it besides Goku, anyone else really growing their tails back in the whole series. So this makes me think even more that this was like an unearned power-up, but it's cool, I guess.
Lets Goku escape the gum, and with a quick display of power, Jiren resigns. It's obvious why people think this is an unearned power-up, but what if I told you it's just not a power-up? Only the dub has Goku say he feels so much stronger with his tail. The sub, and especially the manga, imply that his tail only gave him extra time to break out of the gum, since it took a bit of effort.
This is the thing about Dragon Ball and just anime manga as a whole, where it's like, sure, the way the author wanted it might not get converted over so well because translation errors happen, all this stuff happens, and then it's like, whoa, what do you do about it? You know? But yeah, this might not be like a power up as much so as like a get out of jail card for Goku in the series, but yeah.
I'd say this isn't the case of an unearned power-up, more so just a classic dubism. You may think the next unearned power-up is against Tao Pai Pai, but I think the 3 days of training with Master Karin and the additional explanation later on of it being a Zenkai boost are more than enough for it to make sense. And
yeah, so this was something that obviously initially we didn't know, just because the whole idea of Saiyans and all that, and like the way that Saiyan biology and all this stuff worked, we didn't know exactly how it worked until later on. So when we saw like in that arc where Goku was training against Karin to get the holy water, not the holy water, I forgot what the water was called, but in that point we were like, damn, so he just trained for like 3 days and got like that much stronger. It's like, all right, now we know it's because it was a Zenkai boost.
Feel earned. Don't worry though, we'll talk about Zenkais, specifically without training, more later on. For now, the more important Master Karin power-up to talk about is 2 arcs later when Goku drinks the Ultra Divine Water. This is actually the very first potential unlock in the series, and it's a power-up that's a complicated one to cover due to how the story of Dragon Ball changed with the Z, but the easy answer...
Plus, like, there's always like this thing where it's like, the power-up wasn't the water itself, it was the way of getting the water, but you know, it's debatable, right? And I think you should also leave your comment, bro. Do you think that water was an actual power-up, that was like an actual potential unlock, or was it like the type of power-up where it's like the power-up was getting the water, not the water itself, you know?
Is it was earned in the anime for sure, as Goku needed to go on a journey and even face a fake version of Master Roshi just to drink it. In the manga though, the answer will be based on how you feel about the payoff. You see, for the longest time, Goku's Ozaru form was a mystery and a dangerous one at that. But after drinking the Ultra Divine Water, the Great Ape form changed into a representation of Goku's own hidden potential. This payoff is quickly abandoned, however, especially after Goku being an alien and the Saiyans themselves are introduced. So I think it's fair to think of this one as unearned, but I can personally see it both ways. After this,
yeah, so you could see it like that Ozaru like version. It's not even like the form that Broly takes, right? Where it's like oh, he's made his Ozaru form into his base or something like that. But it's pretty cool though, nonetheless. I think before they had the idea for the Saiyan stuff, they just wanted this power up to be Goku exclusive or something.
This, we could skip ahead quite a bit till we reach Dragon Ball Z and that planet everyone wants to invade, Namek. This portion of the series is where everyone who was on Namek just kept getting juiced up, and honestly, it doesn't surprise me that people feel like a lot of this stuff is unearned. Let's start with the potential unlocks. Gohan, Krillin, and less importantly, Dende get their hidden power unlocked, and of course, it's described as power they've always had, but
yeah, so the thing is, it still doesn't make sense because in the future when Piccolo gets his potential unlocked in the superhero movie, it's like it goes from just like Piccolo being like Super Saiyan level almost to God level, you know.
still doesn't feel that great that this is the way Krillin and Gohan catch up, especially when they're still so far behind. But that might actually be a good thing, showing that potential unlocks have a limited ability to make a character catch up without anything additional. This doesn't necessarily stay true later on, though. I can quickly go over Piccolo here as well. I think merging with Nail is a pretty powerful moment, showing both Piccolo's growth and Nail's resolve to do what he must for his people and planet Namek. So I think this power-up is narratively earned, and I think most people agree with that. The bigger issue is actually Piccolo's power before the merge. Depending on the source, Piccolo got 5 to 10 times stronger from merging with Nail. This skyrocketed his power level to over 1 million, as he was able to handle second form Frieza.
Yeah, because the training with King Kai and then the merger with Nail made him Frieza level, or at least one of the Frieza's forms, which is like crazy to think because Goku trained with King Kai and he was just barely Vegeta level after, you know, boosting Kaioken times 4. So it shows like when the series, like, you know, the main character is the protagonist of the arc, gets super powered up, and then usually the other characters just have to be given a power up just to stay relative. So yeah.
But that would mean in the 5 days he trained with King Kai, he went from a power level of 3,500 to a power level between 100 and 200,000. I don't care if he technically trained for it. That's bullshit. The other famous unearned power-ups in this arc are ones I've already mentioned, Zenkai boosts. When a Saiyan survives a battle from the brink of death, they get stronger. This happens for Goku, Gohan, and especially.
And the thing is, bro, Zenkai boosts are so hacks because if you think about it, all Goku and Vegeta really need to do, bro, even Gohan, but like all they need to do is keep putting each other, like giving each other like near death blows, and then just have a sense of being right next to them. If they did that shit for a whole year straight, imagine that, right? Think about how much more powerful and amped they would get.
Vegeta. The point of these is to show that, in isolation, they actually are pretty ineffective. While Vegeta is able to deal with Frieza's initial underlings with Zenkai boosts, all it took was the Ginyu Force to show up, and if it hadn't been for Goku, he would have died before growing stronger than them. Even earlier than the Ginyus, Zarbon would have killed Vegeta if they didn't need him alive. Only
That's
furthering
crazy.
my point.
Zarbon could have packed a Vegeta. And then, you know, the Zenkai boost. But
Gohan's Zenkai boosts are equally ineffective, as are his Rage boosts at this point, so it only leaves us with Goku, who specifically trained while inadvertently getting Zenkais from it. This combination of training and Zenkai boosts earned him the power to take on the Ginyu Force in the same way I explained earlier with the Tao Pai Pai rematch. He did later get a very important and massive Zenkai boost that is basically one of the 2 reasons Frieza is defeated, so if you think that one is unearned, I can't really blame you, because it is super convenient after all. Though, I will say for Zenkais on the whole, for an arc that's dedicated to accepting and learning about heritage, getting power-ups through his genetics is thematically consistent at least. Which takes us to the dumb argument people have made in more recent years, though usually they're not actually Dragon Ball fans. Super Saiyan. It's not an unearned power-up.
it is an unearned power-up because, okay, the thing is, sure, and when we saw Goku get it, it was like, oh my god, first person to get Super Saiyan, but it's like, really though? Like, really though? And the thing is, it's not like it was, right after he got it, everyone else pretty much got it in the next arc, so it's not like the biggest power up to the point where it became insignificant, or it's a hard one to say because yes, this is a power up, but it's a power up that also was consistent with the arc itself, where it's like just in the mention Garth mentioned here. For this arc, Goku had to understand his own heritage and pretty much take his heritage in, understand that he's a Saiyan. He has to, like fight as a Saiyan in this arc and not as a human necessarily. So I think Super Saiyan makes sense thematically. I think this arc peaked, and I don't think there were too many inconsistencies besides like the other characters' power ups. But Goku's I think made sense here for the most part.
Training isn't the same as earning. More often than not, something being thematically or narratively earned is even more important and more satisfying than if it's acquired through training. This isn't the only thematically earned power-up either. That doesn't mean training can't be used as a good way to show that a power-up is earned, though. The Cell Saga as a whole is a lot of power-ups earned through training, actually, like the Super Saiyan grades.
Yeah, so all the different grades of Super Saiyan. I think Cell Arc does a better job at giving the characters more power as the story progresses. So Cell gets powered up and through his way, absorbing androids, and the Saiyans are like, all right, we know this hacks thing we can do. We can go in the hyperbolic time chamber and we're good. We're relative again.
Other power-ups are earned thematically, like Piccolo merging with Kami and Gohan getting Super Saiyan 2. Which leads us nicely to the Buu Saga, where the beginning is all power-ups earned through 7 years of training. Majin Vegeta is a potential unlock, but it's a very character-driven one rather than a random power boost to help him just catch up. And
the thing is, it wasn't just like a potential unlock that what is it? It's not just a potential unlock where he's just stronger. He's also like more. He lost his character as well. Like he wasn't the same Vegeta, so this was more like a evil Vegeta and not just a regular Vegeta. But no, this one was cool though. Obviously, thematically, it made sense in the story and everything. So, sure, you could say this was a power up, but this was a power up that made more sense than the series, and I don't think this was an unearned one.
point is, it's unearned by his own admission. So does it even matter if being unearned is actually the point? As much as I don't like Super Saiyan 3 narratively, it is explained well enough, and Goku continuing to evolve Super Saiyan makes sense when you consider the fact that that was his main training goal in the Cell Saga. I think the main unearned power-up in the entire arc is Gohan's ultimate form, and personally, I'm a bit mixed on it. While I understand...
Yeah, so obviously when I first saw this power-up as well, I didn't like it because I was like, man... they're just pulling the shit out of their ass just to make Gohan relevant. But when you think about it, it's like, all right, makes sense. In the story speaking, but still, man, I didn't like it, bro. I've wished there was like a way of him going into a time chamber or something. I think if they want to fix the power-ups issue in Dragon Ball as a whole, in my opinion, they just gotta make use of more time chambers. Or they gotta have new masters to give new abilities and not just be like, all right, sit here, I'm gonna make you relevant in the story again,
And that Gohan is getting his own potential unlocked, it does suck to have him built up to be the next protagonist, only to have him slack off enough that he needs this boost. That being said, he did train for the Tenkaichi Budokai, and even trained with the Z-Sword as well. Then, considering how Goku struggled to lift the Z-Sword, base Gohan might actually be stronger than base Goku at this point, so maybe you could consider the...
Well, that's because I think Goku wasn't expecting the sword to be that heavy. I don't think it's because he's stronger at base than Goku at base, but that's just my theory.
Potential unlock, a reward for his hard training. This is just another case where I can see it both ways. Then we get into modern Dragon Ball with Dragon Ball Super. Well, technically Dragon Ball Z, since both Battle of Gods and Resurrection F were actually Dragon Ball Z movies first, and there are actually two power-ups to talk.
Yeah, that's a bit confusing because a lot of people just assume the Buu arc was the last Z arc, but it's not really technically because Battle of Gods and Resurrection F are technically DBZ, but it's a bit strange.
Talk about in Battle of Gods. The first might be surprising, but it's Vegeta's rage boost against Beerus. You see, rage boosts before modern Dragon Ball were entirely left to Gohan, with other characters only getting a boost from their rage via a new transformation like Super Saiyan. This unprecedented way to get a power-up for a character that isn't Gohan actually leads me to think it's fairly unearned, but I'm sure that's a
Yeah, same.
contentious
I
opinion.
think the
Then we,
same.
of course, have Super Saiyan God. To me, the issue of foreshadowing this form is rectified by having Battle of Gods be an arc rather than just a movie, but even in the context of the movie, it's foreshadowed fairly well. You could think it's unearned due to it being acquired via a ritual, but the movie at least addresses this as Goku's main complaint.
Yeah, so even he's like in the movie, anyways. He's like, I don't really like the fact that I have to use a power up where it's not my own abilities that I earned. But at the same time, throughout the whole movie, the goal was to meet the Super Saiyan God. So I don't have a problem with this power up as it's not a bad power up. It's not a bad power up. It's just a power up that seems unearned, but in all honesty, bro, it makes sense. That's how I see it. It makes sense. You can be the judge of that, right?
With the form. Honestly though, Goku is the only reason the ritual can happen in the first place. He's earned this power by being the person who made it possible for 5 other righteous Saiyans to even exist. Remember, characters are more than the arc that's currently happening. Their history matters for stuff like this. And for me, that makes this power-up work extremely well.
Yeah, you
Super
can see it
Saiyan
like
Blue
that
is
too.
of course earned through training, and even if you dislike the fact that Golden Frieza only required 4 months of training, does that make it unearned? This is why just training for something doesn't make it clear if it's earned or unearned. You
Yeah,
don't
this
have
one.
a line.
Yeah, so Frieza didn't make too much sense because sure we can think about it like, oh, he only needs to train 4 months and he's boom god level. But it's like, bro, really, dude? Like you're telling me? Sorry, man. Like I just hate the Resurrection F arc and movie and just everything. I just don't like it.
For how much training is good enough, and honestly, you could call it unearned, and I wouldn't blame you at all. Which leads us to Super Saiyan Rage, the form
I
Trunks
don't like
acquires
this.
in the Dragon Ball
I
Super
hated this.
anime. It has one of the coolest reasons to transform ever in the series. Trunks is basically being told it's his fault everything bad has happened, and he refuses to accept that, but that's about all we get. There's no foreshadowing, no
It's just a rage boost that doesn't make too much sense. So I don't know what else to make of it. I just don't like it. It's a bad rage boost. It's not something that's foreshadowed. No explanation. He's just somehow on the level of fused Zamasu.
explanation, and we're meant to forget it the minute the arc ends. I think you can headcanon a way for it to be earned, but it's never really acknowledged in the narrative, so I don't think we should either. This should be obvious, but I think it's unearned. Then we get to the contentious power-ups that happen before the Tournament of Power. There are quite a few, but some are just misunderstood, like the fact that Krillin isn't as strong as Blue Goku.
He's not, bro. Goku just was holding back. I don't know why people think Krillin is Blue Goku level in seriousness. He's just not. Goku was just holding back because obviously he wanted to go all. He just wanted to show Krillin like, yo, you're gonna fight people like me. So of course he's not gonna he's gonna pull his punches, but he's just trying to make the point that if you see someone like me with my power level, are you gonna fold? Or are you gonna what's gonna happen to you? He's trying to test that. That's what I think was happening.
Goku was testing how Krillin would handle such a large gap in power, which is exactly what Gohan and Android 18 say. Goku's clearly holding back as not to kill Krillin, and a god form is the best way to do that since they can't sense how strong he is. Not to mention the fact that Krillin was losing regardless. Then we have Android 17 actually being Super Saiyan Blue Goku level, and yeah, that's just unearned. I don't have much to say here. Finally, Gohan also rivals Super...
How the heck? See, this is the whole problem with Super Saiyan Blue. It's like the power up for the series, but it sucks because everyone else is just relative now, and that's a super problem, right? Where the power creep is so high to the point where they have to make characters relevant, so the story isn't just a Goku and Vegeta show, but indirectly they're just kind of shitting on the whole narrative as a whole.
Super Saiyan Blue Goku, but that isn't from less than a day of training with Piccolo like most people think.
It's not.
After Resurrection F, Gohan asks to be trained by Piccolo again, and we even see them training before the Universe 6 tournament. If you for some reason don't believe this, compare Gohan in Resurrection F to Gohan in the Zen F.
Yeah, you can tell Gohan was definitely been training, bro. He's not a weak wimp, bro. He's actually pretty strong looking here, so... Yeah, I think most people think he only trained for 2 days or a day. It's not true. Even in the story, you can tell he asked Piccolo to train, and it makes sense. Obviously, they needed to do a better job at showing that he's training, but it is what it is, I guess.
exhibition. Even before he trained with Piccolo for a final time, Gohan is clearly in way better shape than when he faced Frieza. Obviously, the narrative could do a better job of reminding you that Gohan has been doing some training, but
Just
that
like I
doesn't mean
said.
it didn't happen. So in a world where Frieza gets to God level from Namek level in 4 months, I think Gohan training for 2 years to go from Buu Saga level to God level is completely fine relative to the more egregious examples.
It's
at least.
possible.
People then
You
complain
can
about the
believe it.
Universe 6 Saiyans,
I hate
specifically
this.
Caulifla, because they don't like
Just
the way
tingly
she
back
unlocks Super
feeling.
Saiyan.
I just
While
don't
I
like
agree
it.
the way it was explained is pretty lame, I do understand the idea that once something is discovered once, it's much easier to teach others how to replicate it. We skipped over this, but
Yeah, like it is the same way where Super Saiyan pretty much became the default transformation in Cell Saga, right? Where it earned a Namek, Goku earns it, and then everyone else eventually finds their way to it as well because they have the reference of Goku obtaining it. So it makes sense, but I still didn't like the whole tingly back feeling thing. This is what I mean. If they want to give power-ups to other characters, just have a hyperbolic time chamber. You don't got to do a tingly back feeling thing because then it ruins the whole point of these forms. And, it kind of just shits on Z, shits on the previous story told.
But my basic view on Caulifla is that if you don't think Super Saiyan Goten and Trunks are unearned, then you shouldn't think this is either. And the same is
I
true
think
in
they're
reverse.
earned, bro.
Then
That
in the
shit is
tournament
funny.
itself, plenty of power-ups happen. Ultra Instinct was of course something Goku had been training towards with Whis since Resurrection F, so
Yeah,
I think
this
everyone
is fine.
understands why
Earned.
that works. I think the one that people point to as the most unearned is actually Blue Evolution. While Goku trained to use Kai
Blue Evolution is funny because obviously it's just relative to Kaioken Blue Goku. It's not like Blue Evolution's beyond it as much as I think. That's what I know so far. So obviously now Vegeta caught back up to Goku, but it's not like he really caught up because Goku just got Ultra Instinct. But it's a bit weird because then you got to also think about, okay, it's not just Blue Evolution. There's also a perfected Blue, and then it's like, all right, what's stronger then, right? Obviously Blue Evolution, but still, like they're adding so much new shit just to give characters that ability to be relevant.
Kaioken with Super Saiyan Blue, Vegeta unlocked this form during the tournament itself. It entirely comes from Vegeta wanting to fulfill his promise to Kaba, but it's really hollow. There is a narrative behind it, especially with his whole speech about Saiyans breaking their limits towards the end of the tournament, but I think it would have been better if he got it during his fight with God of Destruction Toppo, since he would be rewarded for rejecting Toppo's philosophy. Either way, I don't think I can call it unearned entirely. There is a theme behind it, but I can say it's pretty lame.
It's lame because you don't really remember the theme or anything, It's he's now Blue Goku Kaioken level.
Then I don't think there's actually anything to cover in the Broly movie. If you're really concerned about how Broly is so powerful, he trained for 40 years, has insane potential, got stronger during the fight, and had transformations on top of it all. Usually we only get one of those things to explain
Damn, I did not think about the fact that he's 40 years old. That's crazy, bro.
how someone's so strong, so having all of them makes it earned enough for me. To briefly touch on the Dragon Ball Super manga, I think just about everything is earned in the Moro arc. Then in the Granola arc, these two guys wish to be the strongest in the universe. That's clearly unearned, and I don't even think that's a hot take.
That's not a hot take. It's just part of the narrative, so can't really complain about that.
Finally, we have Dragon Ball Super Superhero. The big two cases of unearned power are Piccolo and Gohan. I have a whole video dedicated to how we got to Orange Piccolo, but I will briefly say it's his dragon. Kami and Piccolo are one again, so Shenron...
It's his dragon. That makes sense. Yeah, I don't have a problem with Orange Piccolo. Gohan Beast is still like it's questionable because it's just really, dude. You're angry now. Weren't you angry before during the Tournament of Power, or weren't you angry before in every other arc that you were not irrelevant in?
Shenron was originally the dragon he made. This is power that comes from himself at the end of the day, and it even ties into the journey of Namekian warriors during times of great suffering that we learned about in Dragon Ball Super. Narratively, this is very different than the characters of the Granola arc who selfishly lusted for power, especially when you remember Piccolo only wanted his own potential unlocked, not to be the strongest person in the universe. Which leaves us with Beast Gohan,
Makes
and I'm
no sense.
extremely torn on this. In the Dragon Ball Super anime, Gohan tells Goku he's going to make an ultimate form that no one has ever seen before, which manifests itself as
So
Beast.
there was a tiny bit of foreshadowing with Gohan, so you can't say it's not unearned. But at the same time, it's just Super Saiyan 2 all over again, right? And I understand Gohan's the original prodigy amongst prodigies whose rage boosts have always got him where he needs to be, but still, man.
Gohan. That's cool and would have been great had it been earned through some other means. Obviously, Gohan has been doing some amount of training since he taught himself the Makanko Seppo, but he didn't unlock Beast until we got a one-to-one recreation of his Super Saiyan 2 transformation.
Exactly.
It just feels hollow, like Super Saiyan Rage Trunks did, and then when you remember Gohan was just stapled onto what was supposed to be a Piccolo movie.
Yeah, so it wasn't even like they planned, like Toriyama really didn't even want to give Gohan anything new. It was really just meant for Piccolo. But I don't mind. I don't mind because I still like Gohan as a character, so I want him to be relevant, but I don't know if the way they made him relevant is my favorite way, you know?
I'll be brave and call the form Unearned. Maybe the manga version will fix it up a bit. But that's all I got. Remember to subscribe if you haven't yet.